Hello, are you hungry? You better get to the kitchen. The kitchen, chicken, kitchen. Today I'm going to teach you about vocabulary that you will find very useful if you've ever been in a kitchen. Now, the thing that's confusing sometimes is that when you want to say kitchen, you say chicken. Oh no! It's okay, it's funny, I do it all the time. Do I do it all the time? It's a very natural mistake. So if you're ever having a conversation in English and you say "Bark, bark, bark, bark," chicken instead of kitchen, don't worry. But we're going to go through some kitchen vocabulary. My name's Ronnie. Let me take you through the magic of the kitchen. The very, very first word that I'm going to teach you is nuke. Nuke. Nuke is a verb, and it's a new word from the 1980s. That's so new, it's 30 years old. Nuke is the verb that we use for a microwave. A microwave maybe came out in 1981. I don't know. I remember in my house getting one in 1983, and I could make popcorn, and it was amazing. So, about the 1980s, we had this amazing thing called a microwave. You probably know what a microwave is, but if you don't, it's like a little oven that cooks your food really, really quickly. We actually developed a new word for this we called nuke. So I can say, I nuke my food. That means, I put my food in the microwave. Ding, 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 and it's ready to eat. The next thing that we have is an oven or a stove. Now, oven and stove, same word. It does not matter if you say oven or stove. Who cares? I don't. An oven or a stove, properly, the stove is actually a stove top, where you would put things on top of the stove top. And the oven is actually this part inside where you open the door. Woo! Inside the oven part, at the bottom here, you can bake a cake. For me, I like cheesecake. If you'd like to bake me a cake, please do. Send it to me at engVid.com. I will be happy to eat it. You can grill or broil. Now, grill and broil is the same. It just depends on what your oven says. When you bake something, the heat comes from the top and the bottom of the oven, and it's distributed throughout. If you grill or broil something, the heat comes from the top, and it cooks it on the top of the meat or whatever you're cooking. So the broil and the grill, the heat comes from the top, and bake, the heat comes from the top and the bottom. So depending on what you're cooking would be the setting on what you're going to use on your oven or your stove. When we bake something, we usually have a certain temperature, 250 degrees, or you can have 400 degrees. One is Fahrenheit and one is Celsius. Most of them have both, but if you don't know on your recipe, you can always look on the internet. It's magic. The next thing, speaking about magic, is a toaster. This is the most magical machine ever to be invented in your kitchen. Let me explain the magic of the toaster. You take a simple piece of bread. You put it in the toaster. Press the button down, you wait. Bing! Out comes lovely, warm, crusty toast. This machine, very simply, is called a toaster. So you put bread into the toaster, like magic, it becomes toast. The next appliance we have is a kettle. Now, if you like to drink tea or coffee, you're going to love to have a kettle. A kettle is a machine that boils water. You can have one on your stovetop, or you can also have one that plugs into the wall. Not a very good artist, or am I? But if you can kind of use your imagination, these both are called kettles. They're used for boiling water. Do you like coffee? I love coffee. We also have what's called a coffee maker. I know. Sometimes English makes sense. Guess what this makes? Coffee. So you press some buttons, some magic, boo, water turns into coffee. It's like water into wine, but not as nice. Better in the morning though. The next thing that we have, another big appliance, these by the way are called appliances, is a refrigerator. We never bother saying refrigerator. We say fridge. And on top of the fridge, we have a freezer. Now, all of it's called a fridge, but the top part is called a freezer. A freezer is where there's going to be ice and things in it are going to be frozen. Frozen. So let's say that you have a delicious frozen dinner and you want to nuke it. You're going to put it in the microwave. At the bottom part of your refrigerator is the fridge. In this, you're going to keep your beer and your milk, maybe some fruit and vegetables. This keeps things cold. The last one that I have for you today is a sink. This was difficult for me to draw, so please bear with. A sink is the place in your kitchen where you would wash the dishes if you don't have a dishwasher, and where you would get your water supply. This part here is also called a counter or a countertop. Usually in a kitchen, people talk about having lots of counter space. We don't usually say countertop, we usually say the counter. Now, if you live in some place like Canada or any place in the world that has fruit, you might see things flying around in this video. We live in a very, very amazing region in Canada called Ontario. It's a fruit belt. We produce naturally, not oranges, shh, don't tell anyone. We are very famous for producing grapes, pears, peaches, this is a peach, and lots of yummy, delicious fruit. One problem. Sometimes you take your delicious fruit from Niagara and you put it on your countertop in a bowl. But what happens next is treacherous. These tiny little flies come and they try and eat your fruit. Someone has left a basket of peaches around us. So if you see tiny little flies in this video, they're after the fruit. These are actually called fruit flies. So watch out. They're here to steal your fruit. Except I've spelled this wrong. It's fruit flies. Because they fly around your fruit. There's one now. Bye.